It is Matt Mosley, the Matt Mosley Show, and we're glad to be with you on this Thursday. Man, it's moving. We're moving now. Let me turn my lights on back here. Oh, look at that. Look at there. Brighter and brighter and brighter. Although now there's a glare. It's good to be with you. Kevin Hall, Kevin Hoosier Hall. He's had a busy day, and there he is. There he is in his glorious hair. And Kev's been doing. Oh,
Pacers
yes?
hat today.
Oh, you got the Indiana Pacers. All right.
2-game win streak heading into the All-Star break.
Yeah, that's not what you're supposed to be doing right now. They're not tanking. Yeah, they're doing the opposite of what everybody else is doing.
Second night of the back-to-back. You beat the Knicks in overtime in the Garden. Such a great feeling, and then they rest absolutely everybody. Everybody who's left who's not injured. And then Quentin Jackson decides to have an amazing night, and they beat the Nets. So,
well, these things happen, and right now, since you brought it up, I'll just say the commissioner, as we get ready for All-Star weekend and some time off from the NBA, he's got a lot of questions to answer. And today the news came down that Jaren Jackson, that was the trade. Obviously, we were more interested in the Anthony Davis trade because it involved the Mavericks, but that Jaren Jackson trade was the one that grabbed my attention, maybe more than any others, because that was a kind of a big swing by the Jazz. And that was a team kind of like, okay, here we go. Well, they've shut him down for the season, and they're saying it's a surgery on his knee based on something that didn't come up in the initial physical, or they didn't know about when they traded for him. Which again, bottom line is, if they were in contention and weren't trying to tank, I sort of think they'd find a way for Jaren Jackson to play the season and then do whatever surgery might be needed in the offseason. They are shutting this thing down, and they are the most overt and embarrassing of the tankers right now, because they act. Will Hardy, their coach, they'll be playing great and maybe have a lead or something, and then he'll literally just sit two of his best players and then just never bring them back. And then the media will go, well, did you think about bringing so-and-so back? And he'll go, no, I didn't. I mean, they're blatantly tanking games, and people, want to say, oh, it's damaging. I heard Bobby Marks the other day say it's damaging to the integrity of the game. What integrity? I love the NBA as much as the next guy. I love it probably more than the next guy. I mean, our man Hoosier Hall happens to love the Pacers, so he's into the NBA. We got a lot of people that around us that do not like the NBA. And, from a gambling standpoint, if that's what you like doing, I mean, it's even bad in that respect, because not only did you have a gambling scandal, but now how in the world would you ever bet on one of these games and think you're betting on actual knowledge of who's going to play and who's not going to play? They activate these players, and then they, like the Jazz the other night, for instance, they had Lauri Markkanen, arguably their best player. Probably, well, I mean, I don't think it's arguable. Maybe now that Jaren Jackson's there, he could challenge him for that. But anyway, let's call him their best player, Lauri Markkanen. And they had him sitting out because of rest. And then right before the game, they went and changed that and said that he was going to play. Huh? Really? Something happened. What does our man Windhorse do? Didn't he do, remember what he did? That famous meme when he was like doing something. That seemed like a Windhorse type moment. That is something that you need to look into. All right. A lot of this as we get rolling today. And man, we're so appreciative. Yesterday we had the Baylor offensive coordinator, Jake Spavital, on. That thing got a lot of play. A lot of people reacted to that. Our buddy Kevin Brandon, we need to continue sending Brandon all our good stuff, because Brandon really produced I know, Kevin, you fancy yourself as a great editor, And I believe that to be true. But man, our man Brandon came strong with one of those shorts. And I like the way he did it. So now I would never, though, Kevin, I would never, I would always still encourage you because I'd love to see some of your work. And today we'll get to see it because Kevin has taken a couple of our really good recent interviews up because we have this huge champion. It's like basically, it's round one of the Big 12 championship. If the Bears win, they are fully in control of the regular season title of the Big 12. They'd really have to stumble to lose it. 5 games to a championship, Nikki Collins calling it. So what Kevin has done is kind of a mashup of our most recent conversation with Nikki, which was Tuesday, and then our visit with the TCU head basketball coach, Mark Campbell. And Kev, once we got him on camera, we were kind of like, I don't know if he's going to do on camera. And then once he did, it was like, this guy was made for the camera. The camera loves Mark Campbell. And then by the end of it, Kevin, he was trying to make bets with me. He was trying to make bets with Mosley. And I can't remember if we actually agreed on a bet. He said something like, if TCU wins, I'd have to wear a purple shirt. I don't think it has to be a TCU, but I said...
He said TCU purple shirt, but you countered with the haircut.
I said I would get a Mark Campbell kind of high and tight if TCU... Okay, yeah. Okay, so we'll see. Now, what does he have to do if Baylor wins? Do we not establish that?
You didn't counter with that one. That's on you.
Should I do it with the SID today? Should I come up with something before the game? What shouldn't he have to? Shouldn't he have to?
He should have to coach in sunglasses a whole game. The next Baylor game, he coaches in sunglasses.
The next Baylor game, he has to open the game. He doesn't have to coach the whole thing in sunglasses, but at least the first minute or two, he has to coach in the Mosley, right. the Mosley's characteristic sunglasses. Okay,
and that'll be at his place. So there you go.
Yeah, I feel like they're going to decline. I really should have. In that moment, I offered him another bet. I didn't give him what he needed to do. Yeah, interesting. Although he may have just been, he was kind of just having fun. Maybe he wasn't really going to do it. We didn't even mention, Kev, the Clara Bielen. No, they got, how many Claras do they have? They got this Bielenfeld from Germany, and then look at here, the 6'7" player, Clara Silva, 6'7", and then off the bench a 6'7" Kennedy Basham. I think he got a kick out of it. I think, Kevin, when the true bond took place between Mark Campbell and me, I think it was when I said you like to surround yourself with 6'7" women. For some reason, I feel like that he kind of liked that. He liked the phraseology of that, and I think he had that at that point. He's like, hey, I think I kind of like this interview. He's a different cat. He is very different in this. I the other night somebody said something like the coach at Iowa State said because the Big 12 beats each other up so much that people think it's not a good conference. And he thinks like that they should try to do, work harder to tell the story, kind of like the men do of the Big 12. And I had this thought, Kev, and there may be some truth to that. I get it. Yeah, they'd beat each other up, and Tech beats this team, and Oklahoma State beats this team, and Kansas State, Iowa State. There's a lot of good teams. Colorado beats people. Baylor obviously beats people because they're 10-2 in conference. But what I kind of wanted to respond, but I didn't want to come across as like a big homer. And then you got to watch it, Kevin, because I'm still friends with Kim Mulkey, and that irritates some people in the Baylor community. But I wanted to be like, you didn't used to beat each other up. For about 18 years or whatever it was, for about 18, 20 years, no one ever beat Baylor. It was extremely rare. straight conference championships did Baylor win? I mean, it had to be somewhere around like 15 or 16 or something like that. Nobody ever beat Baylor. So this idea of, we beat everybody. Okay, that maybe now that happens, but let's not act like, oh my gosh, for years the conference has been so eating each other alive. They've hired some good coaches. Gerlich's got more money behind her at Tech. I'm glad to see Tech doing better, although I'm sick of Tech doing better. I really am sick of Tech doing better in everything. Oh, okay, should wear a green and gold tie. But does he? That's the only thing, Bobby. I like that, but we got to have something that's in the natural part of what he normally does. Like, does he wear the pullover?
Yeah, he does the pullover. Mark Campbell does not wear a tie. I mean, not at a game. He probably does when he's recruiting. That's why he gets all those recruits.
The pullover. Yeah, I was just thinking because he's kind of a tall, thin guy like myself. Soon. I am tall. The thin part, that's being worked on. Being worked on, all right? That's why I always have to have outerwear on. Why does Mosley always have a jacket on? He's trying to cover some things up. No, not me. What you see is what you get. All right, Kev, I need to see, and we got to react to this. And I never complete my thought. What we're going to do later in the program today in the 2:00 hour, kind of late in the program, maybe around like 2:30, 2:40, whatever. We've got a mashup of the best of a portion of our interview with Mark Campbell for tonight's game and the TCU coach, and then Nikki Collin. And what Kevin did is he took about an hour's worth of conversation and he boiled it down to a combined like 16 minutes. And so some of the kind of the best of our conversations with Nikki and Mark. And when Kevin gets like this, it gets in kind of that industrious type mode where he's doing things, he's doing graphics. That's Kevin at its best. All right. And sometimes I get frustrated with Kevin, like yesterday at one point, Kevin, when I was looking for you, I get panicked when I can't find you. And it was like, anyway, but Kevin does. I mostly want to focus on all the great things Kevin does. Kevin Hoosier Hall. And today, Kevin, later in the program, we're going to do a thing where we look at the non NFL playoff teams, the teams, the 18 teams that did not make the playoffs. And there's a thing on ESPN. I think that's the guy's name, Fowler. Anyway, I think it's Jeremy Fowler, I think is his name. Yeah, it's a breakdown in different tiers that they put these teams on. And Kevin, interestingly, your Colts and the team I cover, the Cowboys, are on the same tier. All right. And it's not of the 18, Kevin, I'll break it to you gently. They did not make the top tier, like where you would put the Kansas City Chiefs, right? A team that has a brilliant quarterback that the thought is they'll probably bounce back. They didn't make that one, but they did make the next tier. Kind of like, hey, if you just make some moves, you guys make a few moves, you'll probably be okay. That is where the Colts, and listen, the Colts were headed toward the playoffs. Colts were headed toward like being a number one seed at one point last year. My gosh, they started off unbelievably hot. And then poor play came in, quarterback injury, and then Kevin's just gone and turned on the quarterback that got him off to that beautiful start. So we'll see. We'll see what the Colts. But Kevin, I know anytime I bring up the Colts, your tendency, you're like, I'm ready to sound off. We will do that. But we'll wait on that for a second. Kevin, we had some really rough moments in the Kansas State hosted Cincinnati last night. And I looked up, and at one point in the first half, it was like 45-20. I think the halftime score was about 53-31 or 55-31. They're in a bad way. Kansas State, I mean, Baylor's in a bad way right now. Baylor's 3-9 in conference. Okay, way, this is a down season. People asking me, good friends of mine, bringing it up with me. Why does Scott get the hall pass or whatever? And you're so mean to or other people, other coaches. I don't know. I don't think I'm that mean, but I think that was the gist of the question. And my answer was, and I probably got a little defensive of Scott. It probably was a little bit too terse, my response, because I kind of went back and tried to kind of soften the edges of that. I was feeling a little edgy, Kev. But basically, I was just saying that Scott won a national title. 2021, he wins the national title. 15 years of tremendous, and then starting at about around 2019, 20. I mean, there was about a 4 or 5 year span where it's like almost number one seed every year, if not number one seed, number 2 and number 3 seed. And Baylor and Kansas during that time were the best, were the flat out best. So I think Scott deserves the benefit of the doubt. I don't think it's like, oh, Scott, now you can't do this 2 years in a row. You can't. And I'm not saying, oh, put him on the hot seat, not doing any of that. I'm simply saying Scott understands that it's got to change, and that Baylor fans and the program that has been built in this beautiful arena, that cannot happen again next season. All stones have to be turned over, and I think it will. And by the way, everybody that thinks, well, they just had all these injuries and this and that, and the Rob Wright thing happened, all true. But I promise you have to revamp and change your evaluation process. And if your GM is the one who thought, Michael Ratai was the next Jeremy Sohan or something like that, then I'm sorry, you're going to have to make a change there. You're going to have to make a change. Now, if it's your head coach that thought that, then you're going to be like, whoa, okay, Scott, we got to get you some help. All right. But if it's your GM or somebody in your personnel that's bringing you these ideas, and you're whiffing this big on players like they did with Mikey Ratai, you got to change. You've got to change. Jeremy Roach the season before. All right. And again, Agbum and Isaac Williams and Caden Powell are fine players, but those should be guys maybe coming off the bench. You missed on other players. I mean, even this guy that's been hurt all season, J.J. White, a great personality, great kid. But what we were seeing on the court before he got hurt was not enough to really give you that much. I mean, might give you 5 to 10 minutes a game. Okay, right now they don't have anybody that can give them that. And this is the second year in a row Baylor is dealing with huge depth issues. Well, you can either go, we just have horrible luck, which is true, or you can go, and this is one thing Scott brought up on our show recently, you can try to recruit like you may end up with like 2 major injuries. You have to, in recruiting, you have to go, we got to stack this thing. And you go, well, guys aren't going to come that are being told they're going to be off the bench. And they're just not going to come here for little money and bench. I get it. But what's happening the last 2 years is not working. And it's ended up in a year where, sadly, you've got these 2 really fine NBA caliber players, and you just don't have anything to put around them. And that's not Agbum's fault. I mean, Caden Powell and Isaac Williams have absolutely exceeded expectations, but they've been shoved into roles that they're not really ready for, and that's not what they need to be doing. Caden Powell's not a 30-minute-a-game center, 5. Isaac Williams is not a 25 to 30-minute player. He's just not. He's not. He may become that. By the way, against BYU the other night, he was the guy that was leading the charge and getting downhill and getting to the basket. All right. Now, on defense, they can't stop anybody. I mean, BYU scored 99 points like it was nothing. And the Bears were trying. Unfortunately, Cam Carr, who can block shots and can at least be somewhat of a deterrent, had 3 fouls before the first half. And you go, why was he still in there? Because what are you going to do? Who are you going to put in? You're going to put Ratai in? You're going to put Najee in? What are you going to do? There's nothing you can do on that front. All right, Kev, I want to, though, help. This is kind of sad because I want this guy to do great. And while he did unbelievably well right at the start, things have faded, and Kansas State is a mess. And last night, Jerome Tang had seen enough. And I'm sure he was kind of hoping maybe to, he was wanting to send a message, but it's really a rough look. What he's dealing with, programs in disarray. They're 1-9, and I think I know where this could be headed. His Kansas State's miserable mess right now could end up becoming Baylor's treasure. All right, I'll explain that after we watch. Kev, can we show? This is Jerome Tang's press conference. And it was pretty short, so watch closely. This is Jerome Tang after last night's lopsided loss by 30 to Cincinnati.
This was embarrassing. These dudes do not deserve to wear this uniform. There will be very few of them in it next year. I'm embarrassed for the university. I'm embarrassed for our fans, our student section.
Wow.
2 if I was them. Thanks a lot, fellas. God bless.
Wow. If you couldn't tell at the very end there, he was talking about and Kev, you might find some of those still photos or if you get a chance, because they're all out there, of the student body wearing those paper sacks. Now, Kevin, you can recall back in the NFL, whether it was Tampa Bay in the early years, could have even been some Colts years right before Peyton got things going. But fans would wear paper sacks to games, and that was kind of the sign of fans being embarrassed of their team, and that was a form of protest. The student body for Kansas State, which is usually extremely supportive and kind of a fun student section at games, and Tang's been up there dancing with them in the past and all that kind of stuff, they wore the paper sacks and to the game. And Tang, what he was saying there at the end is, I don't blame him. I would have done the same thing. I don't blame him for doing that. Wow. He told his hometown broadcast in a quick little back and forth that the team would, he was embarrassed, and that the team would be working out at 6 this morning. We don't know if that happened. We don't know what that looked like, but all signs, there it is. Good work, Kev. There are the K-State, and I'm glad they found the paper sacks. That's the proper look. And then, Kev, can you tell like what's kind of on the paper sack? Is that a local grocery store, or is that, and they've kind of made a spot, obviously, to be able to see out of? Pretty good job by the students.
It's from an Aldi.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Good. They're kind of going to some discount shopping.
Yeah. What else would you expect from college students,
Aldi's probably still not charging for bags like some of these places are now. You got to pay. I've been known to, and I'm not, Mosley's being cheap. I'm not really like that, but for some reason, the thought of paying 10 cents for a bag at a grocery store, it bugs me. And so I'll get, if I have like 5 or 6 items, I'll just kind of put them in my arms and go out there to not pay the dime. Can I afford the dime? I can. Do I want to pay a dime for a sack? I do not. So that's my form of protest. In fact, I might go into my local grocery store that does that. Sprouts, by the way. I think they just put one in Waco. It's good. I like the store. I really like the store. I just don't like that they charge 10 cents for the bags. I might go in there with the bag on my head, with a paper bag, like the Kansas State students. Okay, so one, as a friend, oh, here he is, Kev. Here he is. He's already ready to go. Our man. You want to take a quick break, Kev, or can we do that and then take a break after we talk to Matt? What do you want to do?
Let's take a break, take care of our people real quick.
Take a quick break, and then Matt Zenitz, man, on 3. He's had so many CBS. He's had so much breaking news. It's been great. Matt Zenitz joins us next.
Okay, that was really great for the first time on your own. Let's maybe take a break, and then we'll come back and do some more.
Sounds great.
Oh, you're back. That was a fast break.
I know.
Hi, would either of you be able to assist me?
Yes, she'd love to help.
Oh, yes. I love assists.
Central National Bank, proud partner of Baylor Athletics and Baylor Women's Basketball.
Ready for a better kind of primary care?
At Patient First Direct Primary Care, you get unlimited office visits with same-day or next-day availability.
And instead of rushed appointments, we take the time to actually listen.
There are no insurance hassles, just clear, simple care.
You can reach us by phone or text because access shouldn't be complicated. Our practice has expanded to include Medicare-age patients as part of our direct primary care model.
It's a fresh alternative to the traditional insurance or government-driven systems, care that finally puts you first.
For more information, go to patientfirstdirect.com.
Bubble wasn't here. I don't know what people would be doing, like making PowerPoints or something. I love that I can sit down and build something the way that I think it should be built.
Bubble turns ideas into fully scalable apps. Try Bubble today.
At Covers & All, we've revolutionized protective solutions with cutting-edge, customizable covers, tarps, and curtains. We deliver premier protection at affordable prices and express shipping. Visit coversandall.com today for the perfect fit, guaranteed to last.
Better sleep, inspired by nature. Your back, hips, and shoulders will fall into perfect alignment in any position, meaning that you get deeper, more comfortable rest. Visit ecoterrabeds.com.
Cleanse your body of accumulated toxins and embark on your wellness journey at your own pace. At Global Healing, we provide premium supplements to help your body heal naturally. Start your healing journey today at globalhealing.com and organichemp.com.
Relax with Hemp Delicious. Organically grown hemp, massively blended with delicious organic herbs, responsibly sourced for their holistic benefits. Each sip offers calming, antioxidant-rich wellness. Brewed just for you. Sip the calm with Hemp Delicious.
Is your Mac running slow? Mac Booster 8 is your all-in-one solution to clean up 20 types of junk files. Get your Mac running like new again with Mac Booster 8. Visit macboost.net today.
I know you're gonna love this Kodak Dot Plus printer. You guys just connect it to your smartphone. I can assure you, you are going to love this printer as much as my family has. You guys have to check it out for yourself.
At Matt Piffle, we believe in celebrating your journey. Our unique personalized products are designed to boost your confidence. From custom home decor to meaningful gifts, we help you cherish the memories that make you who you are. Visit mappiffle.com and start celebrating your story today.
All right. It is the Mosley Show, and Matt Zenitz is going to join us now, CBS Sports. And, man, good to have you. I've, the more you were like, well, let's do this middle of the month. Let's do this end of the month. The more I, stayed after you, and so I'm happy to have you. What a busy deal, man. It's enough to just cover this portal. When did you get drawn into all this NFL coverage? Because on top of breaking all kinds of portal news, then this entire hiring cycle, you've had to do a whole bunch of NFL When did you start doing all that? Because honestly, the portal's enough work as it is,
to say the least. So I have background covering the NFL, have relationships around the NFL space, and had been on top of different things from an information standpoint, even while being focused on the college part of it, including going back to last year. And it led to just discussions with management here at CBS Sports about the potential of expanded role and what it would essentially turn into a combo national NFL, national college insider position for us, which got finalized during the course of the summer. So ever since the beginning part of August, have been in this combo role and doing the same stuff for us in the NFL space as what I do in the college world.
All right. The DJ Lagway saga. He eventually lands in, but I think some of your reports obviously were scaring a lot of the Baylor fans who watch this show. And Lagway was such a big name, and that was going to be big for the Baylor class. But then, obviously, since they hadn't signed him yet, other teams were still pursuing him. That had to be an interesting one to cover because you kind of did a good job of that. You knew he hadn't completely committed, and he kind of kept the door open a little bit. In the end, what did you think? Did you think Baylor had to give him anything in addition to entice him? Or do you think he wanted to play it all the way out to see, and then he probably signed on whatever the original offer was?
Well, he verbally committed to Baylor at one point, committed to Dave, and it led to, at that point, going back to the day that all of that went down, a celebration with the staff that they had landed DJ Lagway because that's the impression that they were under. Obviously, in this day and age, there's a process that you have to go through in terms of not only getting the commitment, but getting things locked in terms of financial aid agreement being signed, and then the NIL component to go along with that. So following the initial commitment, there were still those steps that had to be taken. And before things were locked in, there were other teams, which comes with the territory when you're dealing with a player of DJ's ability, that had interest in him as an option for them. Ole Miss being one. DJ obviously visited there. And then after his visit to Oxford ended without him committing to Ole Miss and still at that point planning on ending up at Baylor, Duke came in. Duke lost Darian Mensah. Mm-hmm. Duke had interest in DJ also, verbalized that to DJ's camp. But at that point, even though things hadn't been finalized, and even though nothing had been signed yet, DJ was committed at that stage to moving forward with Baylor. And then ultimately, shortly after that, got things locked in, and we're now at a point where Baylor, Dave, and that crew can move forward with DJ Lagway as starting quarterback for the Baylor Bears.
What did you think of the receiving core they've put around him? Draylon Miller comes in from Colorado, Hardly Gilmore, the fourth out of Kentucky, and then Gavin Freeman, the receiver that had been at Oklahoma State and Oklahoma. They do some different things, and I think we just had the offensive coordinator on, Jake Spavital, yesterday, and he's really working out in his mind, hey, Miller might be able to do more even than how they were using him at Colorado. What do you think about that part of Baylor's receiving core that they brought in the portal?
Added, obviously, a nice player, quarterback, and DJ, and surrounded him with some weapons to work with. So you have a combination of three guys that you just brought up. Draylon, former top recruit who had some production at Colorado the last couple of years. Yeah, you had Gavin Freeman, who was a hot commodity and of interest to some top schools when he hit the portal, was committed to Tennessee at one point before Baylor was ultimately able to flip him, which was a nice win for them. And then Hardly Gilmore, somebody with definite ability also. And there were some schools that thought they were in good position with him before Baylor was able to seal the deal and get him to Waco.
All right, and you're tracking this Trinidad Chambliss hearing, and we've seen Joe Judge. That's kind of an interesting aspect of this. Joe Judge kind of telling everybody, what he had advised him to do as far as child rearing. I thought that was an interesting aspect of that. hearing talking about what he tells his players about, hey, keep them in a separate room. We don't need our players being up helping with nighttime feedings. The hearing got a little interesting at that point. Are you getting a sense, like, what's your gut telling you on how this one ends? Because it's like the NCAA on one hand got a rare victory, and that happened in college basketball with Waco recently. What do you think, and how you're hearing this play out? How do you think this thing ends up?
I frankly don't have a great guess at this point. Going back a few weeks ago, can say that Ole Miss was optimistic that they would have Trinidad Chambliss for the 2026 season, and then had latest setback in terms of his eligibility. And now we'll see how things go today. But when it comes to the NCAA and the court system, I don't really have any great guesses when it comes to that. And we would love to have a better feel on it than what I do, but really could see this going either way, and don't have any sort of great guess in terms of what today will bring.
Okay. And then I wanted to ask you, since you're doing a lot of NFL, Christian Parker, Cowboys defensive coordinator, 34 years old. You've been kind of tracking some of those assistants he's bringing in. One of them was an outside linebackers coach from Georgia. I find it very interesting that Jerry is allowing someone that's never been a play caller. This is very different for Jerry. He likes to hire people for his coaches, right? He likes to get former head coaches. This is a different situation, but this is an interesting staff that Christian Parker is putting together. Anybody of that staff that has caught your eye as particularly like, wow, this guy was a huge hit and extremely well thought of at the college level? Which of those coaches impressed you the most?
Well, first of all, Christian, just in focusing on that as a starting point, Christian, a highly respected coach, rising star figure, and highly respected defensive mind. That was a good get for Jerry in terms of getting him to Dallas just as a starting point. But in terms of this staff, some of the pieces that you're talking about in terms of bringing in, you have Derek Ansley as defensive pass game coordinator, was most recently with the Packers in that same role, somebody who's been a defensive coordinator at the NFL level, and somebody who's highly respected in terms of defensive mind and his work from a secondary defensive backs coach perspective, including going back to his time at the college level with Minka Fitzpatrick's of the world and guys like that at Alabama. And then again, has coordinator experience both in the college and NFL space. Ryan Smith as another member of that DB group. Say somebody who was with Arizona the last couple of years, has a good reputation as a rising star figure in the coaching world. Chidera Uzo-Deribe, the outside linebackers coach that you mentioned from Georgia, somebody who, while he had been strictly at the college level before this, had other opportunities at the NFL level, had other NFL interest during the course of the last couple of years. Before this, Georgia was able to hang on to him, but with this one, Dallas was able to get him there, and he's one who, not to overuse the rising star description of people, but one who has very much established himself as a rising star in the defensive coaching world. And we worked with multiple first-round draft picks at Georgia during the course of the last couple of years. And then the other one, Marcus Dixon, as defensive line coach, had been with the Vikings, and you can look at some of the success that they had there defensively with the Vikings while Marcus was on staff there.
All right, last, Texas Tech will always win the portal in the Big 12, and they just obviously have more money to spend than everybody else. After Texas Tech, who would you say did the best in the Big 12? And obviously, we have a lot of people that follow us with Baylor. Just overall, you were just talking about some of the weapons they put around DJ Lagway. Given the fact that Baylor had to fill like 30 to 35 spots, how did you think they did overall? And then who would you say was like the next tier of teams in the Big 12 as far as your portal rankings?
Baylor would definitely rank up there. Added an extremely talented player at the most important position on the field, and then again added pieces around him, and then didn't even discuss Hosea Wheeler that they got from Indiana, who was a contributor for Indiana's national title team. So it goes beyond just the quarterback and receiver pickups for Baylor. So they would be in that upper tier group behind Texas Tech, who clearly was one of the top teams on a national level in terms of the work that they did through the portal, and put themselves in position once again where you should be competing for a playoff spot and a potential national championship.
All right, what's next for you? Do you have to go to the combine, or do you get a little rest at some point, or is it combine and just hardcore NFL moving forward here?
Right now, it's tracking the final part of coaching cycle, both college and NFL. There are still going to be things going on for the next couple of weeks and really until the latter part of this month in terms of assistant coach movement. Have to go to the combine. I think March will be a little bit lighter, even though spring practice will be starting up around the country. And then just looking forward to getting to May, and that'll be beginning of lighter stretch for me at that stage. But obviously still a couple months to go before getting there.
All right. And Matt Zenitz just 2 hours ago had that the Cardinals interviewed Seahawks defensive pass game coordinator Carl Scott for their defensive coordinator job, according to his sources. So that's one of the latest ones out there. Seattle, obviously people would love to hire people from their staff. Matt, I appreciate it, and hope to stay in touch with you, and have enjoyed your work. And I have to admire it, even though I would like you to come on a lot. You just put your head down and keep reporting. And unlike most reporters, you're not jumping on every podcast.
That's because I spend all day, every day on the phone. That's why. As my wife can tell you, legitimately on the phone all day, every day. So that's the primary reason why.
Why don't you try Valentine's when you take her out? Why don't you try to not be on the phone for like one evening? You think you could do it?
That is the goal.
Matt, thank you. I appreciate it.
Appreciate it, Matt.
You bet. Matt Zenitz from CBS Sports. And wanted to have him on. He's in the middle of hitting his Chambliss stuff pretty hard right now. Trinidad Chambliss, the hearing that's going on today. And really, I think they were hopeful, but did not sound like he had like a strong feeling either direction. In fact, right now, I don't know, the NCAA seems to have a tad bit of momentum in winning some of the cases. They've been beaten so much here recently. And Kevin, almost like the old dating world, it was funny. The more Matt Zenitz, and he was very nice the whole time, but he was the one breaking a ton of the portal news, and he had a lot of the DJ Lagway news. And so I stayed after him. And most of the times, if somebody didn't get back to me, I'm like, I'm moving on. But he would always be like, when things slow down. So I stayed after him. Because I thought we're going to have him on the Mosley Show. I was kind of curious what he even looked like because, like I said, Kevin, he's one of the rare people that breaks a bunch of news. Think about it. Shams Charania, Schefter at ESPN. Both those guys are at ESPN. But, I mean, they're breaking news, but they're also jumping on TV constantly. I mean, Zenitz just stays off camera, keeps his head down, and just works like crazy. And so it became a challenge for me. Can I get this guy? Can I get Matt Zenitz on the show? Now, I'll tell you what we'll do. We'll here in a minute, Kev, we'll take another break, and then we'll do some major Campus Confidential. I want to remind you that Baylor and TCU play tonight in Waco. That's a game that a lot of folks are going to want to attend. And I think, honestly, with Baylor's men's program being what's going on with what's happening right now, I still think you should support them. But this is a huge thing. Baylor's 10-2. They're taking on a TCU team that's 9-3. The conference is up there. Nikki Collin 2 hours ago said, amazing generosity, no excuses, come for free, which made me think, what in the world? Good news coming from Baylor Athletics. A generous BU donor just purchased the remaining Upper Bowl tickets for Baylor fans tonight. So, Kev, I've been wanting to kind of get you and your son or anybody in your family you want to take some tickets. Here, I've done it. I've bought up all the Upper Bowl. I've done what I've
did it.
Yes. So
congratulations.
Here it is, Kevin. This is for you and everybody else listening to us. Starting at 5 p.m., head to the Foster Pavilion Ticket Center to grab your free ticket, and let's make Foster rock tonight. You know what? I think this is probably Doug McNamee, and I don't want to short the ticket people, but again, somebody has to tell them it's okay to do this. And this is a program and an administration that's desperately trying to reach out and maybe repair some things with fans from the past. And they well know. I mean, Baylor women, I think there's a lot of people behind Nikki Collin and this team, but there's also a lot of old hurt feelings about the way things ended with Kim Mulkey, and she had her huge fans as well. And so all of that, this is Baylor reaching out to the fans and going, we need you, and we're willing to do whatever it takes to get you back in the arena and hopefully get you a good crowd. Yesterday, Mark Campbell, the head coach at TCU, Kev, told us that he thought this was one of the great rivalry games in the nation. I believe is the way he put it. Now he's feeling pretty good because TCU, after 35 years in the wilderness, 37 straight losses to the Bears, TCU broke that streak, and they've kept winning, and they've won 3. And so it's a little bit more of a rivalry. Now, I heard Nikki's explanation of a rivalry, and she was talking about how these Baylor players are not from Texas, and so they're maybe not as aware, and said they're more into rivalries against great players and all that kind of stuff, and that is fine. But there is a built-in major dislike between these two church schools, and that is Baylor and TCU. And when I call TCU a church school, I use those words very loosely. I'm kidding. It's a church school. It's the United. We're Baptist, and no, we don't know. It's not. Oh, are they Southern? Are they moderate? Are they what? We're whatever you want to call us. Okay, it's the Baptist. Baylor's Baptist, but Baylor pulled away from the convention many, many years ago when I was a freshman in college from the Southern Baptist Convention, if anybody cares. And so would be more affiliated with like the Texas General Baptist Convention, but I don't even know. I would say Baylor's probably even whatever. I don't want to get into that. TCU is with the Christian is the denomination would be the Disciples of Christ. That is the denomination that they are, not Church of Christ. No, that's ACU and some others, Harding College, but TCU Disciples of Christ. Okay. I would say TCU does not really play up the Texas Christian. They don't, that's still the name, but that you will not ever hear anybody from TCU in administration or anybody call themselves Texas Christian University. It is TCU. All right. Still affiliated with churches, 2 church schools, and there is a strong dislike between the two, which is rooted in several things. Now, if you wanted to go all the way back, you'd go TCU used to be known as, was it Adran College or whatever? TCU used to be in Waco like 100 years ago. And I think TCU, for whatever reason, things were failing, things weren't working out. And they said, hey, here's some land in Fort Worth. Y'all go elsewhere. All right. Now, I don't know where TCU was in Waco. In my mind, I feel like it was over where Paul Quinn used to be, which is over on Elm Street. Right, if you go down MLK and you head back to the north a little bit down Elm, there's the old, there's kind of the old Paul Quinn College where that used to be. In my mind, That's where I have TCU 100 years ago. Somebody on the YouTube comment section, if you know, tell me. I've always kind of been a little bit interested in that. Where was TCU when it was in Waco? But what really made everybody mad is we had Governor Ann and Bob Bullock. We had some major political swagger. Governor Ann went to Baylor. Bullock went to Baylor Law School. He might have gone to Tech undergrad, but Bullock was a big Baylor fan, lieutenant governor at Texas at the time, back when we had, anyway. They stood up for the Bears. And so when the SWC fell apart, Baylor was saved by those big dogs, and Baylor was allowed to be with Tech in Texas and in Texas A&M and everybody that was able to move forward with the Big 12. TCU, Rice, SMU, Houston, all relegated to second-class status, which when Baylor was getting its head beat in every year in football, there were moments where kind of like, is this really that great to be part of the Big 12? But that's what happened. And TCU was hugely resentful of that. And I think there was some thought that Baylor should have maybe stuck up for TCU, and then the two church schools worked together. And Baylor kind of took care of itself and said, hey, we love you, but we'll see you guys later. And TCU was in the Mountain West for a lot of years. Before that, there might have been a brief moment in the WAC. SMU went off to the WAC, Conference USA, and then to the AAC. And then, so anyway, that's where it all goes. That's where and then the hatred really got going because the two football programs were incredible under Bryles and Gary Patterson, and those two coaches did not care for each other. Gary didn't really respect the way Art did it, and Art didn't really care for Gary. And you had a major defensive innovator, great defensive coach in Gary, and you had the unbelievable offensive juggernaut that was Art Bryles. The good news is all these years later, Gary has said nice things about Art. Art has said kind things about Gary, and they seemingly have buried the hatchet. But that is where the two schools really got things rolling. All right, North Waco. Is this Scotty B? All right, okay, we got Bobby B and Scotty B. We got so many Bs. North Waco, in an area known as University Heights, is where TCU was. Let me think about North. Is that where I was describing? Is that considered North Waco, like over there by Paulding College off Elm? Or is that more like west? I'm just thinking it's on the west side. Okay, this could be what Bobby's describing when he says North Waco might even be a little more north of that, kind of out going toward Belmead or something out there. Certainly not as far as like Elm Mott or something like that. But anyway, but again, in the old days, North Waco could have even been considered where like Baylor is, that's okay. So anyway, I obviously it wasn't where Baylor was, but I'm just kind of still would like to University Heights. I'm going to have to look that up. I need Bobby to do, I need more research on this because I'd like to know University Heights, but I'd kind of like to know streets because I'd like to drive over there and to pay respects to the former home of TCU. I've heard the story of how they ended up in Fort Worth, and I'm sure here we go. Present day, it is 19th Street and Mitchell Avenue, now the current Methodist Children's Home. Very interesting. Or Kevin, my parents, when they were first married, and my dad was maybe in law school or something, they were like house parents or whatever you would call it at Methodist Children's Home. So right over there where they're talking about. Okay, 19th. Okay, I've got that, I think, in my mind. A lot of us think of 19th, we think of George's, right? Over there, right there. But on down on down 19th, kind of follow it all the way out to where Methodist Children's Home is. Okay, I think I've got it, which has been an incredible place over the years. I think of some of those unbelievable organizations like Buckner's Orphanage, and I don't think they call it that anymore, but Buckner's Home, in the Dallas area, and the Methodist Children's Home, and then where the 12 Mighty Orphans came out of, up in Fort Worth, where they made the movie out of. Just unbelievable places that a lot of us have relatives that were raised in that. In fact, I've got a great grandmother who came from one of those orphanages. I think it's Buckner, but wow, pretty cool stuff. All right, Kev, I tell you what we'll do. Let's get ready. We'll take a quick break. We had Zenitz. It was good to have Matt Zenitz on, and he's very focused. He's a very focused young man. You could just tell. He's just like I like a serious young man. I think that's good. I think it's good that we still have people that are just like, I'm here to do this job, and I really don't have time for podcast and all these other things. And so the more he couldn't do my show, the more I stayed after him until we got him, Kevin. We got our man. We got Mark Campbell yesterday. That was your get. And today we got Matt Zenitz, who I got to say, again, does not seem like a guy who probably loves doing a lot of media, but he broke a ton of the portal stuff. I mean, he has honestly, from an NFL standpoint, like a breaking news standpoint, this guy kind of emerged as a star in this last cycle. So I think it's kind of cool we had him on the Mosley Show, Matt Zenitz. I bet even, Kevin, when you were looking up photos on Zenitz, I bet you didn't find a lot of stuff out there. I bet it wasn't like Schefter, you would see 500 photos, right? That's no knock on him. I'm just saying Zenitz kind of keeps his head down and likes to do his thing. All right, we'll do some Campus Confidential. We'll talk more. I have not even explained, Kevin. We showed what happened with Jerome Tang in Kansas State, but this ties in to Baylor's current situation. I will explain next.
For over 2 decades, I've come to Allen Samuels shop, especially for trucks, because I've been very satisfied with the performance of those trucks. I think the strengths of Allen Samuels is obviously in their customer service and obviously taking care of your vehicle after the sale.
Like Allen Samuels always said, Waco has a lot to offer, and so do we at Allen Samuels Dodge, Chrysler, Jeep, Ram, Fiat. Come by, let's be friends.
Streamline event and appointment booking with Amelia's sleek, modern, and fully customizable booking forms. WPAmelia.com. That's WPAMELIA.com. Amelia. Nalgene Outdoor has been your trusted companion, fueling adventures and helping protect the planet. We're committed to reducing waste, improving access to clean water, and providing simple, safe, and sustainable products for you and your family. NALGENE.com.
A house is a property, but we live in homes. Home sweet home. Homes where the heart is. We aim to deliver the best home buying and selling experience so you can spend less time real estating and more time living.
WhyPersonalLoans.com. Request a loan anytime. Our partners can offer loans up to $35,000 with varying rates and terms. Review your loan offer with no obligation and decide what works for you. Visit PersonalLoans.com today.
This is what $500,000 in a duffel bag looks like. Actually not real. That's because it's actually prop money. It looks realistic from a distance, but up close you can see it says for motion picture purposes. Visit PropMoney.com today to get your money seen or money shot right with Prop Money Inc.
With San, owning iconic furniture no longer requires paying a premium.
With over 15,000 satisfied customers worldwide, we've proven that high-quality furniture doesn't have to come with a high price tag. Explore our collection today at san.com.
The U-Like Air 3, launched in 2023, ushers in a new era of sapphire ice cooling technology, offering nearly painless hair reduction in just 3 weeks. That's ULIKE.com. U-Like.
VivoSun's mission is to empower growers with stylish and effective products, making indoor growing accessible and enjoyable for everyone. Visit vivosun.com today and get started making growing plants and vegetables easy and automatic.
And now we're back to the old Mosley Show. Been here for you for years, different places, different spots. Dallas for many years, then Waco, ESPN Central Texas, now right over here at Rogue Media Network. Central National Bank, thank you. Thank you for what you're doing. I've seen all the pomp and circumstance. Kev, the thing I was hinting at recently a lot did come to fruition. John Morris has joined us. Touchdown Tommy Barfield is going to head up a lot of our high school coverage, and so great to have him on board. But those are two extremely well-known Waco institutions. J-Mo, the voice of the Bears, and Tom Barfield. We need to have Tom on. Tom's going to get mad at me if we don't, have him on and kind of celebrate his entrance into the. Well, I got a call last night, Kev. They were like somebody from my old place, like really getting after me about us, bringing all the raiding the ESPN Central Texas people. I'm like, well, Tom didn't even work over there anymore. I fired back at him, Kevin. I was like, don't be belly aching to me about any of that stuff. But great to have Tom and John, and as we just continue to grow this thing. And then, of course, the anchor show. No, I used to say that. John would John would then give me a hard time, so I'm not going to say that. But the Mosley Show continues to be dominant in this space. Now, Central National Bank, and every day from what do we do, Kev? 1 to 3? Yeah, 1 to 3. You can find us. Our presenting sponsor, Central National Bank. In fact, last night I was texting with Mitch Horner, who is in one of those great new commercials that they have, and I was complimenting Joe and Joe Nesbitt and Brian Fonville on their acting skills the other day. So really some fine commercials. We appreciate Cherry Johnson, Siegmund James. And then, Kev, let's not forget today, at some point this hour, we've got the trivia question. And I'm trying to think if I'm in more of a college basketball or kind of there's that one thing we're going to do, Kevin, that's got me in an NFL mood. I don't know. We'll see. And Kevin, if you have one up your sleeve, that's fine. But we do want to give the 2 free sandwiches away. And Kevin, I do need to take care of, I think it was Scotty B, 2 free sandwiches via my Twitter. So we got to make sure we take care of him. And I'll get word to him. DM me, Scotty B, because I think you won that last one. And we'll get word to you on how to pick up your 2 free coupons to get your Schmaltz's sandwiches, the greatest sandwich shop in all of Central Texas. I mean, let's call it the whole state of Texas. My favorite sandwich shop in Dallas is closing down. I mean, I'm just like, my heart breaks. I mean, it really was over by the SMU campus, but Schmaltz's will never go away. 2 locations, one out Valley Mills and the one downtown, right around about 5th Street. You just go down there kind of by the Alico building, and you get down there to about, what is that street that goes in front of Alico? Is that Austin or Franklin? Anyway, you're going down the street, and then you get to about 5th, and you head back down that direction toward Baylor, and then Schmaltz's right there on your right. Love that. I love that downtown location. For some reason, that's the one that's always grabbed me, and it's just a legendary place. So thank you, Brett Tolley, for continuing on a great tradition that Nelson Rue started. Nelson Rue, one of my biggest supporters over the years. Although I don't know if we've gotten Nelson over to the YouTube show. We got to get him over here. Somebody, if you're friends with Nelson Rue and you're watching this, show Nelson how to log on to the Mosley Show, all right? Because he's a huge fan, but I'm not sure if he's doing the YouTube version quite yet. All right, Kevin, let's do something we call Campus. Ooh, Kev, you did it. Look at that. The logo and Central National Bank. Nobody will know but me, Kevin, how much that took. You know, how much. It's almost like a Rubik's Cube. You had to really work with that to get that all right. So we have Campus Confidential, and then we have our presenting sponsor, Central National Bank. Kevin, where would you like to start? I mean, there's a lot going on out there. And then don't let me forget to explain to people why this meltdown that is occurring in Manhattan, Kansas, why it could impact what's happening with the Baylor Bears in a positive way. All right. Remind me to bring that up.
All right. I will bring you some breaking news. It is official. The NCAA has denied officially denied the waiver claim from Trinidad and Chambliss for a 6th year. Does this benefit or hurt him in the big picture?
This is denied.
Yep.
So it's time to go to the NFL, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Right. So does this benefit
he's fine
or hurt
either
him?
way. He was going to get huge money to stay, but he was so great that I'm not sure his stock, if he returned, even if he had a great season, I'm not really sure. I honestly think his stock's pretty high. And you thought I was a little bit strange recently when I told you that I thought he could go in the first round. I absolutely still believe that. And I think his ability, now teams will be a little bit, they're like, oh, dang it, he's only done it at the highest level for one season. But my gosh, he was doing it against Georgia and everybody they faced in Miami and all these incredible teams. The mighty Alabama. Did they play Alabama this year? Anyway, he did it against great programs, tremendous teams. Kev, I think he was going to be fine either way. And I think that given how desperate teams are for help at quarterback, you got Fernando Mendoza will continue to be the number 1 overall quarterback. By the time this thing ends, Kevin, you may see Trinidad Chambliss as a top 10 pick in the NFL draft. And I don't even care where they put him right now. I promise you'll start to see him get shoved up to the front of the draft. It always happens. I mean, like right now in the first round, other than Fernando, remind me who's up there from this group. Where's Beck? Where is this group? Like Dante's coming. Wait, Dante gets to come back, doesn't he?
Dante's coming back.
Yeah. Who else is in the first round besides Fernando?
Next, Ty Simpson would be the thought that he's the next.
Wow.
I think.
Wow.
Okay.
Are they mocking him in the first round or not? Ty Simpson?
Yes. Field Yates just put out his new mock this week, and he had him going 21st to the Steelers. So that's 2 quarterbacks in a row to the Steelers back-to-back years with Will Howard. And
all the mockers are waiting right now. They're like, oh, it's like Spider-Man, that Spider-Man meme, and they're kind of going back and forth, and they're deciding where to put Trinidad Chambliss. Let me help you with his speed, with his athleticism, with his arm, everything he brings to the table. And they'll say, what about Ferris State? Who cares? He had a great year at Ole Miss. This is going to be a top 20 pick, and he could end up being a top 10 pick. You heard it here at 2:13 on the Mosley Show. Nobody has said something like this. They'll start to say it. Because this is going to be a groupthink situation, and it'll take a mock drafter to do it. But the first mock draft, it could be Danny Kelly from Ringer, and it could be Todd McShay from the Ringer. I don't know who it'll be, but somebody's going to put him top 25. And then the next thing that'll happen is somebody will end up mocking him in the top 10. Mark my words, he's too talented not to. And then they'll go, why was he thinking about staying? Why was he ever thinking about staying? This is because the way the draft works. And if you've got a great quarterback, even if he's a little bit unproven still, they're going to shove him to the front. Okay? Carson Wentz was a top 2 quarterback pick out of North Dakota State. Trey Lance was a top 5 pick out of North Dakota State. It happens. And it's going to happen with Trinidad Chambliss. All right? Just mark that down.
I would say he will have the same or less success than both of those guys. I think he's maybe even a great college quarterback, but I don't see him advancing in the NFL.
Where do the Colts pick?
In the second round. They gave up 2 first-rounders the next 2 years to get Sauce Gardner.
Oh, I'm sure like when they did that, there might have been a moment where you're like awesome or great, but it always comes back to when you don't have that pick.
Well, this was when they were 7-1
going for it. When they were going for it.
They were 7-1 headed to Germany.
What was the record when Jones got hurt?
8-2. He got hurt initially in the Chiefs game. That's where he broke his fibula.
When is he expected to be back?
Well, he tore his Achilles in game 10. So there's a lot of talk that he'll be back.
Yeah, but what are they saying?
There's talk that he'll be back for training camp. An Achilles takes a full year guaranteed. Shouldn't come back at any point. And so he's not coming back till after the midway of the season.
Why all y'all turned on that guy? Like he was doing great. He was a huge reason y'all were 8-2, and everybody's like, no, let's move on. Let's move on from Daniel Jones.
I will tell you why. Because they played even within that 8-2. The 2 losses were against the Steelers, good defense, and the Chiefs, good defense. So he was fine until he played a really good defense, and then he turned into a pumpkin.
All right, man.
And I don't think you can re-sign him just because you're not going to have him until after the halfway of the point of the season. You can't invest that much money in that.
I don't think those 8 wins. I bet we could find a decent defense in those 8 wins. I bet they were not all complete jokes. I bet if I looked at those 8 wins the Colts had, I could find you 2 or 3 decent defenses. So y'all are not being fair to that guy. But that's okay. That's okay. I kind of get it because I watched him play for the Giants for so long. All right, what else do you have in campus?
So last night, was it better for West Virginia or worse for Clemson that Virginia Tech got a 10-point win on the road against the ranked Clemson? So is it better?
Why does it matter anything to West Virginia? I don't understand.
No, sorry, not Virginia Tech. Virginia Tech. Was it better for West Virginia or for Virginia Tech that they won? Or was it worse for Clemson that they lost, being ranked? Virginia Tech not ranked, Clemson ranked.
I got you.
So
I kind of like the things you obsess about. One of the things you really obsess about are unranked teams beating ranked teams.
That's a huge deal.
Well, it's not, but I like that. I like things that you're passionate about. So it's a huge deal to you, and that's okay. I think you have to own things that you're passionate about. In the course of a season, this is going to happen fairly often. I would say that worse Clemson. I mean, it just because you got a guy that I used to make fun of him because he was a whiny. I'm trying to remember what he said that got under my skin. Maybe he was talking about Baylor back in the day or something. Coach Brad Brownell or something like that, I think was his name. And I thought, whiny guy. But then that sucker got to either the Sweet 16 or Elite 8 that year he beat Baylor in Memphis. Baylor had a pretty good team. Baylor was like a 3 or 4 seed. And if Clemson didn't beat them, that was Walter and Messi on that Baylor team. Golly, man, we thought that team didn't live up to expectations. Those were the good old days. Those were the good old days. And stop telling me no more one and dones, no more one and dones. Oh my gosh. Like that's the issue. Baylor has too many one and dones. That's not the issue. It's what you put around the one and dones. Okay. I mean, it's a lot. There's a lot of issues, but Baylor being successful with one and done players, I promise you, that's the least of their worries. Now, I would probably think about where I spend my money. I mean, next year's class is probably not going to have this coming class. This 2026 recruiting class is not going to have a one and done, I don't think. I mean, they were in on a few players in 27, I know, but 26 class, they got the 4-star coming from San Antonio, Monty Williams kid, who I like, by the way. Man, I like a 4-star. That's what, hey, Sohan was a 4-star. Sohan was barely a top 50 player in America. He was barely a top 50 guy. And if he was even, all right. And they did not think he was one and done. They didn't think Kendall was going to be one and done. Kendall went in the draft and he's hadn't done anything in the NBA. He may have played in like a couple of games. Maybe they can bring him back, try to sue somebody in a federal court and bring Kendall Brown back. That dude was explosive, but he just wasn't that good. Like crazy hops, crazy explosive. And he was okay. He scored like 10 points a game. He was on that team that with Sohan, he was on that team the year after they won the national title. That team totally, if Chama Chachua doesn't get hurt, that team had a great chance to go back to the Final Four, at least. Oh, Kev, since we're in Campus Confidential, let me, and I want to get back to whatever you have, but let me mention that Kelvin Sampson is a finalist in the Naismith Basketball Hall of Fame. That's a big deal. That's a great, and again, he deserves it. He's been unbelievable at Houston. I know Kevin probably will say, well, wow, what about when he cheated at Oklahoma and Indiana? Well, cheating doesn't exist anymore. You know, there's almost nothing. You almost have to, I mean, I don't know what you'd have to do. I mean, you have to sadly get pulled over for DUI or some criminal thing to get in trouble these days. There's almost nothing out there that can get you in trouble. And the things that Kelvin was doing, given the context of what we know now, doesn't really seem like much. All right. And I like you, Kevin, used to think of him as a cheater. I do. I now think of him as one of the greatest college coaches of all time. A man who stepped into a very tough situation. I mean, where Bill Self and Scott Drew and these monsters of the Big 12, TJ Otzelberger, all that stuff. They stepped into this monstrous conference, and Kelvin said, tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to walk in here from the AAC, and he'd been to the Final Four in the AAC. Don't forget that he was in the Final Four when Baylor won the national title in 2021, and Baylor beat them in the semifinal and beat them pretty handily. All right. He walked into that conference and he has wiped the conference out. It's Houston and it's everybody else. You go, wow, what about Arizona? Okay. All right. Let's see if they win. If Arizona wins the conference title this year, the regular season conference title, I will say Arizona has arrived. But until somebody knocks out the Cougs, and I'm talking about the Houston Cougars, then they are on top. And so what he has done, and now how many Final Fours has he been to now altogether? Kevin, can you help me? How far did he take the Sooners? I'm just trying to remember the best he did with the Sooners. And was he coaching them when they had Blake Griffin?
3 times. Once with the Sooners and twice with the Cougars. Sooners was in 2002, and then 21 and 25 with the Cougars.
Well, then that's how many Elite Eights, Kevin, since we're looking this up now.
Look.
Oh, thank you. Kevin's nothing if not resourceful. If the camera goes on Kevin and he's not looking at the camera and he's kind of looking up in the sky, that's Kevin doing his research. That's Mr. Google or whatever he uses these days. I feel like we all still Google stuff, but we also now have all these other things that we can use as well. What have you learned?
I still use Yahoo. Let's see. 3 at Houston, 21, 22, 25, and then 1 at Oklahoma in 03. So I think...
What's the best he did at Indiana? Does it say how many Sweet 16s he has?
Let me see.
I think you have to say that Danny Hurley is
9
the best
career Sweet 16s.
Golly, man! Of the coaches that have not won it all, I think you could have a really interesting argument on who's better between Mark Few and Kelvin. I think they're both awesome. I think Mark's done it for longer. Although Kelvin had moments at OU, I think that 2002 team, gosh, would Blake Griffin have been on that team? I was just trying to think who was playing at OU at the time. Anyway, I could make an argument either way. I think Kelvin is a better coach than Mark Few but they're both unbelievable. I don't know. Like I would actually I could make an argument for either coach, but out of like sort of I think Kelvin has done it against tougher opponents in conference. Mark Few is allowed each year. It's not his fault. It's just the conference they're in. He's allowed to kind of cruise through conference. But they load up with great non-conference opponents, and then he's unbelievable in the tournament. He's just never won one. But I think Mark Few is up for a finalist for the Naismith Hall of Fame as well as Kelvin, and I would put them both in there. And I would never have a problem with that. And I would make sure Huggins is in there. I think he is. I think Huggins went in a few years ago. Huggins and Kim's in there. Kim Mulkey, and which she should be. And if your question is, does Scott Drew deserve to be in? Absolutely. And I think that will happen in the coming years. Scott is still only 54 or 55 years old, still young, relatively young compared to Sampson, who is 70. So I would say he's 15 years older than Scott, but Scott will be in within the next 3 to 4 years. And what I hope happens is it's a year Baylor's doing incredibly well and they bounce back. And listen, McNamee knows that Doug McNamee, the Baylor AD, yes, he's got to get football right. That may take a while. We'll see. This is not who he hired to be the head coach in Dave Aranda. So that'll have to play out. And hopefully Baylor throws a haymaker. I thought that was interesting what the coach told us yesterday, Kev. It was kind of like, I'm a coach's kid. I think you're on the hot seat every year. It just didn't. Most coaches, I think, would have been looking for a more secure, go with a coach, get a 2 or 3 year contract, whatever they give assistance, and a more secure situation. Spavital, who makes a lot of money at Baylor, that they had to pay him a lot of money to come here from Cal because he was doing really well at Cal. He makes a lot of money at Baylor, but he stayed in a more dangerous situation for reasons maybe outside of football. His wife Megan has been fighting breast cancer, and he loves the community, and the community really has embraced, and the Baylor has embraced Jake Spavital and his family. And so I think that means a lot to him. In this day and age of people, transactional people leaving every year, we should stop down and say we are grateful that someone would make a decision based on how he's been treated, how his wife, how the community has embraced him, and what Baylor means to him. That's pretty cool. Doesn't happen very often. Okay. Kev, what else do you have as we continue down Campus Confidential? Yeah.
Last one for me, and you can explain the K-State connection here. TCU and Baylor is the game for our show tonight. I get it. But what about number 5 Texas at number 4 Vanderbilt in women's basketball tonight? Texas beat 18 Kentucky by 11, while Vandy crushed number 10 Oklahoma 102-86, both at home. So, what do you got? What do you think? What
is Vandy ranked?
It's number 5 versus number 4. Vandy is 4.
Wow. Man, I did not want another rival game to take eyes away from Baylor TCU.
Well, it's okay. Guess what? The whole upper bowl is now free. Just show up at 5 and get your ticket at Foster.
You know what I'd like to do maybe is just go sit, because I could use my media pass and go sit there and have a great desk and all of that. But I would have more fun coming up to the upper bowl and just and so Kevin, I'm going to consider that tonight. If I were you, Kevin, I would load up the family, and you got a lot of them. I mean, I don't know if that minivan or whatever you guys drive can get them all in there. I would think you probably have a situation where you can get the whole family in a vehicle. Knowing you like to keep the family close together, and I would take the whole crew over. Now you got one son that's in college, and he may have other plans tonight, but I would get as many of your family members as possible, including your lovely wife, although you could just give her the night off. The really cool thing, this would be a good early Valentine's present. You take all the kids to the game tonight, Kev, and go see Mark Campbell, who you have ties to him, and then you let your wife just have a free night. She can go get her nails done or whatever she likes to do. All right. Now, I think that's a pretty good suggestion, since I'm kind of put myself in charge of running your life, or maybe ruining, however you choose to look at it. Okay, Kev, we were gonna. How much time do we need? We need about 16 minutes, don't we, to play our featured?
Yeah.
Yeah, I want to leave enough time to do that. Okay, but just real quick, Kev, play the. Okay, Kansas State's a mess. They're 1-9 in conference, the men, and Jerome Tang was really, really upset last night. At their own place, Cincinnati just ran them out of the gym, beat them by around 30, and there they are with the sacks on their heads. Oh my gosh. I got to reach out to Jerome. I don't know if having him on right now would make him feel that much better, because while he likes coming on with me, it's not like I could, we can't just have a bunch of laughs right now, although I think I could lift his spirits. There's the paper bags. Now that I'm thinking about it, Kevin, I was talking about like NFL teams earlier. The ones that I remember were the Aints, when they called them the Aints. When the Saints were really bad, maybe even around the time when Archie was there, Archie Manning, they would wear those paper sacks over their heads.
There's also
the first I remember.
There's also the Bungles. The Bungles
would do it.
The Bengals, yeah.
I get it, Kevin. Thank you for explaining. No, Kevin was explaining to our wider audience the Bengals thing and all that. He was not just explaining to me. Kevin, let's listen real quick. This is our old friend Jerome Tang in the aftermath of last night's blowout loss to the Cincinnati Bearcats.
This was embarrassing. These dudes do not deserve to wear this uniform. there will be very few of them in it next year. I'm embarrassed for the university. I'm embarrassed for our fans, our student section. I'd wear a paper bag too if I was them. Thanks a lot, fellas. God bless.
Whoa. Wow, that was a mic drop. Thanks a lot. God bless. That's when you use God bless in the space of something else. Kevin, like if I was mad at you, which I rarely am, but if I was if I was chewing on you a little bit and I finished it with God bless, it's not, I don't know if it would be a true God bless.
Yeah, that's used in the Southern terminology there. Yeah. It reminded me a little bit of at the end of last season when Tomlin was asked if, he was sticking around or whatever. He just walked straight off.
Got up and got out. Okay, now let me tell you, Kev, this is the part where Kev, this may need a timestamp to use the phrase I hear too often. Kev, let me just start this with Jerome Tang is one of my favorite people in the world. I stay in touch with him. I reach out to him through the good and the bad. When they were in the Elite Eight and at the top of the mountain, he stopped everything he was doing one day. I mean, I think it interrupted practice maybe or something. And he jumped on with me when I was doing radio, okay, over at ESPN Central Texas. He is an incredible guy. For whatever reason, they've gone for the big fish in the portal. It didn't really, the guy from Illinois, he was fine, but he didn't live up to it, and they paid him a ton of money, and it didn't work out. Same thing this year. Haggerty's actually put up good numbers, but they've kind of gone for the big fish, and they just haven't been able to put the right players around him. When he started there, he inherited a couple of players, and he got the guy from Florida that came in, and they just were the perfect blend, and he had Naquan, and he had some interesting players, and they just hit. And they were great. And unfortunately, now in his fourth season, it's just not working. Okay? And I would just say this. That doesn't mean Jerome Tang's a bad coach. He's forgot how to coach, anything like that. It's just in this world, if you have a bad portal or if you get the wrong batch of players and the chemistry doesn't work out, it can turn on you in a hurry. Now, Jerome has pride, and I don't know how he'll react to this. And he's got a big buyout, so they may try to keep him. If they fire Jerome Tang, which they may end up having to do, I think Scott Drew, given what's happened with Baylor this year, going 3-9 in conference, having trouble in the portal, needing to learn how to reevaluate, and you go, well, Matt, he's not getting the portal right either. Jerome Tang, I get that. The portal changes Baylor has to make are more at the GM level and how they go about it and changing the process. Where Jerome Tang would help is that, and by the way, the guy they brought in, Sanchez, is a heck of a coach. Ron Sanchez, so I don't want this to be like, oh, get rid of this guy, get rid of this guy. I think that guy's a really good coach, but Scott does better when he's got his people around him. And he's lost this year for reasons we still don't quite understand. Nunes had to take a leave or he left, and Jerome's gone. And obviously, we've just seen Coach Jacobs is coaching FAU, and they're going through a rough time right now, but he'll be fine. AB is at Alvin Brooks III is at Kentucky. Scott's lost too many guys that he leaned on and were extremely important to him. It happened too quickly. They lost AB and John at the same time, and then they lost Tang before that, and then Nunes, who he's been with for many, many years, he's known for 30 years, is suddenly gone in the middle of this season. There are problems with all of that. And it's hard. It's very hard to recover from. And so if Jerome Tang is fired by Kansas State, and I hope he's not, I hope he gets one more chance to put the proper team together and prove to him he's the guy they hired, because he is a great motivator. He's an incredible human being, but he's having a bad year. And I don't know if last night was handling that properly. I think that was a little, he probably regrets saying they don't deserve you wear the uniform and they're not going to be, I mean, like, you can't just completely go that far against your current cast of players. So I think he probably ends up regretting that and walking that back and apologizing a little bit for that. But if he's fired, Baylor needs to do whatever it can to bring him right back into the fold. He's best friends with Scott. Baylor's best years as a defensive team were with Tang around, and he would do an incredible job. And yes, he'd have to swallow his pride, and it's not going to be fun to go, it didn't work out. Now I got to come back to Waco, come back to Baylor, all of that. We can get past that because everybody in Waco loves this guy. So I say, if they fire him, and I hope they don't, but if they do, bring his rear right back to Waco. And then you have Scott and Tang. And I would think if you could bring back Nunes, I would. And you got Tweedy, and you got the gang back together again. All right. And again, it's nothing about any of these guys. I like Henson. I like Sanchez. I like Melvin. Melvin's an old Baylor player. I love Melvin Hunt. But Scott functions better with all that circle of trust. People have been around him forever. By the way, Ty Beard's one of those guys that he loves and he trusts. But they've lost too much of that. And so I would bring back Jerome Tang if you can. All right, Kev, we're going to hear from the two coaches in tonight's big-time rivalry game between Baylor and TCU. Mark Campbell joined us yesterday. Nikki Collin was with us 2 days ago. Hear from both coaches next.
Central National Bank, this is Nikki. How may I help you?
Yes, can you please transfer me to the loan department?
You want to transfer?
Yes, please.
I'm sorry, you can't transfer right now.
What?
Have a good day. Yes, how may I help you?
Hi, I would like to transfer money from my C&B account to another bank.
Absolutely not. No. Have a great day.
Wait, hold.
I'm on your website and I'm trying to find the link for your payment portal.
The portal is currently unavailable. Have a great day.
We've received a few complaints.
Correct. We no longer allow any outgoing transfers, only incoming.
But the good news is, no money is leaving the bank. Like, none.
Central National Bank, proud partner of Baylor Athletics and Baylor Women's Basketball.
Introducing Muck-Off's classic pink bike cleaner, powered by revolutionary nanotechnology that breaks down dirt and grime on a microscopic level while protecting your bike's delicate finish. us.muc-off.com.
At Open Goal USA, we're revolutionizing training for both soccer and lacrosse with our innovative portable rebounders. Perfect for players of all ages and skill levels. Visit OpenGoAAALusa.com and elevate your training today.
Looking for tickets to the hottest shows, games, and events? Ticket Liquidator is your one-stop shop for great prices, no hassles, and guaranteed tickets. Whether it's sports, theater, or concert, for the best seats at the biggest events, start with Ticket Liquidator today at ticketliquidator.com. Ticket Liquidator.
Send money abroad in just a few steps with Remitly. Sign up with your email, enter an amount, choose how your loved ones receive the money, enter your recipient's information, select a payment method, hit send, and relax. Download the Remitly app today.
Hi, I'm Mitch, the co-founder of Cake, a sexual health and wellness company designed for today and designed for you. Yes, you. The entire product line can be found at hellocake.com, and it's also available in every Walmart near you.
All right, Kev, it is big game tonight, Baylor and TCU. And I am getting reports that the Magnolia folks are rolling out the red carpet today for TCU. Like they're kind of hanging out over there. I mean, let's hope they're just enjoying themselves and shopping and all. But that's interesting. That's interesting because they generally are mostly supportive of Baylor. But just kind of interesting. I did get a report that the TCU team was kind of hanging out over there. Now, maybe when they said Magnolia, maybe they're talking about the restaurant or something. I don't know. But that's interesting that such a Baylor-driven type ownership would be, I guess, hey, if they'll spend money, they'll take it from whoever. But, Kev, I did want to, and I really appreciate how you did this. Here's how we're going to end the show today. And tomorrow, I've got some really cool NFL things for you. But we have both from yesterday, our conversation with Mark Campbell, and then, of course, from 2 days ago, our conversation with Baylor coach Nikki Collin. And so we'll hear from both coaches, and then we will see you at the arena tonight. And remember, if you're looking for something to do tonight, if you'll get there about 5 o'clock at the ticket office, they're gonna the Upper Bowl free tickets, and they're gonna try to pack that place out and turn it into a raucous atmosphere as as they vie for first place. Here are the two coaches in tonight's game, both recently on the Matt Mosley Show, Nikki Collin and Mark Campbell. And we'll see you at the game tonight. Mark Campbell, hey, welcome to the Matt Mosley Show. I have really admired the job you've done at TCU, even though I went to Baylor grad. It's tough I liked it probably better when Baylor was dominant for all those years against TCU, but I think it is fun that, now it really has turned into a rivalry. Welcome to the show. Great to have you.
Matt, thanks for having me. First of all, I won't hold it against you that you're a Baylor Bear. And you guys have owned this series. Baylor has for many, many years. And I'm glad that we got the program to a point that it's turning into, I think, one of the best rivalry games in college basketball.
Yeah, it's remarkable. And now, of course, the fans love that stuff and they like getting on board, and you've seen that. And, Baylor is a different animal.
Yeah.
Nikki Collin's done a really nice job, but you honestly followed the right situation. You followed a place that had struggled mightily, and you've set it on fire and got it going a little bit. Nikki does the thing they say not to do, right? Follow in step and follow a legend. And of course what Kim's done at LSU and everything. What have you you probably knew, and all y'all have crossed paths. What did you know about Nikki, and then what have you kind of seen about Baylor's program? Obviously you got these last 2 wins against her, but what stands out about the Baylor program right now?
Yeah, good question. Well, actually, we got 3 in a row. Last year, we ended up winning the 2 league, and then we battled in the Big 12 championship.
I'm sorry I charged you one. I'm trying to, as a Baylor guy, I'm trying to, not play these things up too much. Yeah.
She has. So first of all, there's obstacles with and benefits with taking over a program that has great tradition, that has a built-in fan base, that has money and supporters. And there's obstacles that come with that. So it's fast. I study this stuff. I study new head coaches. I absolutely love it. College football, men's basketball, women's basketball. And so my whole career I've studied this stuff. And so her following Mulkey and inheriting that program, there's huge benefits, but there's a lot of pressure and stuff that comes with that you have to overcome. Taking over at TCU, you have zero fan base, you have no resources, no NIL money. You're building the thing from scratch. but there's no expectations either. And so each one of those are completely different dynamics. And I think each one of them we can dive into it, but they each come with different challenges.
All right, and let me ask you just about this Baylor team ahead of this matchup. Talia Scott is their leading scorer. It's been an interesting team because I think, Bugs, Nikki's had to kind of remind a couple of players, hey, this is what you do. Bella Fauntleroy is a really fine defender. But as you've seen probably with your players in the past, some of them that want to be in the WNBA, they're like, wait, shouldn't I be doing this and doing this? And so you have to sometimes remind players, this is what you're really good at doing. What stands out about this Baylor team? Because obviously they'll play some defense. Now they'll shoot a bunch of threes. Making them is sometimes a different story. But what stands out to you about kind of preparing for a team like this?
One, they're really good. Nikki's doing her and her staff are doing a great job. Talia Scott's one of the best natural scorers in college basketball. The kid just puts the ball in the hole. It's easy for her. And they're putting her in some good spots and the actions they run for her. And very similar, they run a lot of pick and roll stuff. Jonna, I think, their point guard is having a fantastic season. She's kind of just been steady and consistent all year in running the show for them. And then they got a lot of versatility, with Bugs and Fauntleroy. They're both kind of hybrid forwards where they can rebound, they can defend a bunch of different positions. Bugs impacts the game a little more around the rim and on the glass and as a slasher. And Bella can really shoot it. They're using her more as a guard, but she's unique because she's so versatile on the defensive side of the ball and offensive side. And then they got a kind of a three-head monster at the center position where they can rotate some big bodies. So they're deep, they're talented, they're athletic. They can come at you a lot of different ways. So I mean, they're really good. They have a really good team, and it's why right now they're in sole possession of first place.
All right. Do you have a good full court press? I noticed they had a little issue with the with the press recently, but yeah.
Well, Matt. That's just not any random press. That West Virginia press down there in Morgantown is no joke. I don't know how many turnovers they forced that night. It might have been 31 turnovers.
Yeah.
It was something like that. But Coach Kellogg down there, he puts that 2-2-1 press on you in Morgantown and he cranks up the dial. It's no fun.
Yeah. Well, listen, it's going to be a fun atmosphere, and I'm hoping the Bears fans show up. They don't let too many frogs in there. I was at the guys' game last night, and the Mormons, the BYU folks, they were let too many of them in there. So I'm going to talk to folks and make sure the TCU fans are kind of contained right there behind your bench, and they don't allow them to spread out too much. But wouldn't that be fun to see about 7,500 people in there and see if you guys could extend that winning streak, which I tried to short you on a little bit?
I hope they pack that place out, and then we get a turnaround, and I hope we can pack it out here in the Shoal. It's kind of fun. Obviously, the Big 12 saved both these games for ESPN down the home stretch of the season as March Madness is approaching. I watched that game. How talented is that AJ kid at Baylor or at BYU? Golly, geez, for a freshman. But Baylor, man, they travel well. They got incredible support. I hope a whole bunch of purple sneaks in there, Matt, and finds their way into the crowd. But listen, we play twice in the next 2 weeks with the chance, both of us, down the home stretch competing for a league title. So I'm expecting two just battles that will be great basketball games.
Coach, thank you, man. This was really fun, big game, and this will kind of be who's in charge of the conference, who wins this, and then there'll be a rematch coming up soon after. So it's really cool that these two schools are such a big, huge part of the Big 12 and what you've done at TCU. I'm a great admirer. So congrats on all your success, and thanks for doing this.
Matt, it's great. Thanks for allowing me to be on your show. This was awesome. Anytime you want me, you reach out and enjoy the game. Are you going to be there?
I will definitely be there. All right. So I may show up and be grilling you with questions afterwards. So
I'm sure you'll be wearing some green and yellow. I'm okay with that. Just know we should have a friendly man bet. If we get this done, you might need a purple TCU shirt on your show one of these days.
Or I might have to get, gosh, I don't know if I can do that. It's about as close to purple as I can get, this blue shirt. Maybe I'll agree to get the Mark Campbell, the high and tight haircut. Maybe if TCU wins. All right. Hey, thank you. I appreciate it.
This was awesome. Enjoy your day.
Okay, you do the same. There he goes. Mark Campbell, the TCU women's basketball. Your thoughts on this TCU team? Obviously, they have, a star player. In the past, they've really, at one point he brought in 3 scorers. What are you seeing from this team? We got 2 ranked teams. Should be a great matchup. And, do you say to your team, hey, do you deal with the fact that they took a couple from you in a row, or do you not even kind of use that as motivation? I mean, obviously you have several players that have been part of that. Do you even bring that up with them, or are they mad about that enough on their own that doesn't really have to come up in conversation?
Yeah, that's not going to be a motivator for us.
Okay.
I certainly think, a year ago we had 2 chances against them to win a regular season and a tournament championship, and we didn't get it done. And, they're a different team and we're a different team, realistically. I mean, when we were playing through Nettie a year ago versus, Haley Van Lith and Olivia Miles are not the same players. They're both very, very good. They're still a bit of a 3-headed monster. Their 3 heads look different, and sometimes people miss the 3rd one, but Olivia Miles is elite. She's an elite scorer. She's an elite passer. I don't think I've ever seen anyone in the women's game put the ball on time and on target with her offhand as well as she does. Like, some of the things she does, she's truly a magician with the ball. Like, it's physically and, just what she sees. I mean, elite point guards can throw people open. She sees it before they see it. And if you get to your spots, she's special. The way she can accelerate and transition, is impressive. So I think it starts obviously with her, and she's a very different primary ball handler than Haley Van Lith, who was elite in the mid range and getting to the foul line. And, their games are very different. I think everyone thought the 3-headed monster was going to be Suarez and Silva, and it's really turned into Suarez and Donovan Hunter, and Donovan Hunter being the unsung hero, but a kid who makes open shots, is their 3rd leading scorer, is a good straight line driver. So very different than a Madison Connor, though she makes 3s. Like, she's their best defender. And then Suarez gives them that 4 player that can post up a smaller forward and shoots the heck out of the 3 ball and can pick and pop and make 3s all day. And is also, like, the consistency of the 2 TCU teams is they're the oldest teams in the country. A year ago they were, this year they are. Maddie Shear, 6th-year senior, Miles, 5th year, Big B, 5th year. Like, they have so many seasoned players. But then you still throw in a 6'7" player in the middle, who maybe doesn't score, facilitate the same way that Sedona Prince does, but is an elite rim protector and can score on the low block and is just a sophomore. So they get to build around for the next couple of years. And so, they're deeper than maybe they play at times. So they're really talented. He does an elite job in the portal, and he does an elite job of getting a lot out of their best players. I mean, their offensive numbers are pretty staggering. They're elite offensively. And I say that, and they might still be leading the Big 12 in points per game on the defensive side. But when you look at them and you see what they're capable on offense, like, that's where your mind goes to. And UConn's the same way. UConn's one of those teams that everyone watches their player movement and ball movement and spacing and says, wow, what a fun team to watch. And yet, year in and year out. Their defense is one of the best defenses in the country.
Is she the best player you've ever seen that wears goggles? Who's the best? I think it. I think
it's funny. I have more of a
yeah.
memory of the first player because, like, I feel like generationally, as a Celtic fan, we all used to make fun of Kurt Rambis, right?
Yeah, I mean, it was something about the hair and the mustache, and it was just the whole thing.
Yeah, maybe. I think she's she's elite with the ball in her hands. There's, she's fun to watch.
I know what you're saying.
Our fans will enjoy, watching her play basketball.
Watching y'all shut her down.
That will be the goal.
Speaking of the fan, or like the other night, I mean, the one player went off, but if you can kind of let one player go off and try to shut everybody else down, sometimes that's the.
Sometimes that's it. I'm not giving you the game plan on here.
Yeah. Okay. I'm starting to get clues. I know what you're saying though. I love the off ball. Luka can do it. Baylor had a player named Ray J. Dennis who had this sort of unbelievable ability. I love it when people with their offhand can take the ball and whip it like 30 feet, and it's just
on time and on target.
Yes.
She can be on the hash on the sideline and throw the ball to the opposite corner with her left hand and hit their shooters in their shooting pocket. On a line. Like it's impressive. It's really, really impressive.
It's a huge opportunity for Baylor fans. Do you sense a lot of folks trying to get there, and how much of an impact do you think the fans could have in a game like this?
I mean, you said it. I think, when they interviewed Arizona's coach after the game, he made a statement. He's like, I guess we were supposed to lose here. Like, Bill Self is 27-0 on Big Mondays at Fog, So, I mean, sometimes I think it's true that the environment is worth 10 points, and it's worth 10 points because of the officiating. It's worth, there's a lot of reasons why, in a close game, and we've played a lot of close games against TCU in the last year, how a crowd can take you over the hump, when whether it's them not getting a play call in, whether it's, just the pressure of the free throws and getting a cupcake, like all those things, I think, starts with our students, and they showed up for our Play for K game on Saturday, which was amazing. But I think this is next level. This is, we're now in this race. I'm calling it 5 games to a championship, and it starts Thursday with TCU. And do I want to win it because of what happened last year? Sure, but every team's different, and I want this team to win it, and I want them to deserve to win it. And I want to put on a good show for the fans. Like I want our players to play well. I want it to be a great game, and I want them to walk away happy, and fans walk away happy when you win, but I certainly think, with it being a gold out tonight for the men, and for whatever reason you come, if you strongly dislike TCU or you dislike Baylor, if you want to wear gold and gold's your color, come out for whatever motivates you to be in Foster early. We start early on Thursday.
The reason that their service is outstanding because the people they have working, behind the desk, and the folks working out in the garage, taking care of business. And they give you a date, they give you a time, and they're spot on. And they're professional, they take care of it, and they answer all your questions, and they're fun to work with.
Like Alan Samuels always said, Waco has a lot to offer, and so do we at Alan Samuels Dodge, Chrysler, Jeep, Ram, Fiat. Come by, let's be friends.
When you strive for greatness, you have a target on your back. When it comes to finances, we're all targets for scammers. But with the right game plan, you can protect yourself. Don't get faked by fraud. Here's a tip. Don't buy from social media ads unless the ad is from a verified company. When you click those ads, you open yourself up to fraud. If it seems too good to be true, it almost always is. This message is brought to you by Central National Bank.